So we've got this Erik ten Hag interview, which I'm sure many of you have watched by now. And look, in no way am I going to sit here and take the opportunity to say that, Erik ten Hag put Gary Neville in a box and sent him back to Santa. He absolutely dominated him, because I actually thought Gary Neville asked some good questions. But the problem is, this is the difference between punditry and actual coaching. And we've heard from Gary over the recent weeks on many times on his podcast on Sky, where he is the Prime Minister of Football and he can say what he likes without recourse. He has said consistently, injuries are not an excuse for Manchester United. So given that opportunity to take it to Ten Hag, and he tried, he got absolutely schooled in the reality of what the situation is. And I feel that Gary is a little bit of a fall guy on this, because in no way, shape or form am I, bantering him or having a problem with him. But there are people out there that don't want to use injuries as a massive problem. And you can sit on a fan channel, and you can sit on the internet, and you can sit on Sky, and you can sit on TNT, and you can say, it's not an excuse. It's not acceptable. But when you're sat with a manager and you try it on, and he completely and utterly schools you in the reality of football, then it becomes a really good positive PR piece for Manchester United and the stone cold facts of what the problems are. And this is not about being pro Ten Hag or wanting Ten Hag to be sacked. Whoever the manager is next season, these problems are reality. Whether he's talking about the structure, the ability to play the way they want to play, his answers were honest, and people might not like them, but they are true. And we'll delve into that as well. But I do just want to, look, we want to talk about this Crystal Palace game, of course. They're a very, very good team. Elise, Eze, Wharton, Henderson in goal. That's not going to go well. I think it's going to be a really difficult game. And what have we got available for this game? But there was a very interesting comment from Ten Hag in this interview with Gary Neville that many, less focused minds will pick up on. Gary Neville was asking about injuries and whether it's luck or whether it's by design, or, whether it's bad recruitment or whether. Very, very good question. Ten Hag said in his response that you get more injuries when things aren't going well, and you get less injuries when things are going well. And funnily enough, with an FA Cup final on the horizon, we're starting to get more players back. I don't know the context of what Ten Hag was saying, but personally, I will take that and say this. I've noticed at United over the last few years, especially with Rangnick 2 years ago, when the going gets tough, we get a lot of injuries. And when things are going well, we don't get as many injuries. So I agree with Ten Hag. I'm not saying names, but I do think it's been proven at this football club that when things aren't going well, we get a mysterious amount of injuries. And when things are going well, that injury list drops down. Look, make your own mind up, but I think Ten Hag was alluding to the proven point in football, really, that when things aren't going well, people do tend to get a few strains and stuff. So, will United activate Michael's Elise's clause, says Abby, and World Padlock, welcome to the Members Club. That reminds me, I'm going to gift some membership, so don't forget that. So, it's been a good week, and I don't want to take it down the gutter. I don't want to sit here going, oh, look at Ten Hag, he sat the haters down. It wasn't about that. The interview with Neville was not about that. But what I do think Ten Hag did was just sat there in a pragmatic and calm way, and actually, through all the bluster and the hype and the moaning and the shouting, just gave a very measured, honest response about what the problems are. So for the last few weeks, we've heard Gary Neville and others, Gary on mainstream TV, say, I'm not having that injuries are an excuse. Look at that league table. Where are Brighton? Injury hit season. They're not even there. Where are Chelsea? Injury hit season. 8th. Where are Newcastle? Injury hit season. 7th. Where are Manchester United? Injury hit season. 6th. Tottenham, Villa, Liverpool, Man City, Arsenal haven't had the injuries that we've got. Liverpool have to an extent, but they've got a bigger squad. They've got more attacking options. They've got more midfielders. They've got more defenders. They're probably better equipped than Newcastle and Man United to deal with it. And Chelsea, well, whatever. So injuries are quite clearly a massive issue for those teams that have been hit by them this season. And Newcastle, Man United, Chelsea, Brighton have been devastated. So when Gary Neville asked Erik ten Hag about injuries and said, predominantly they've been to left back and centre back, he didn't really go in like he has on Sky. It was very, It was a very calm and professional piece. But we've heard him on Sky. We've heard him say it. I'm not having that injuries are an excuse. Well, this is what Erik Ten Hag had to say, and he's absolutely correct. He said anyone with a little bit of knowledge about football would know what a huge impact injuries have had on us this season. I've had 30 different centre-back combinations in 47 games. The back four last season had the most clean sheets in the Premier League. This season, that's not happening. Whether we like it or not, you need a consistent back four. The potential is there, but we want to play dynamic, high-line football, but the injuries have been massive for us. And he then went even deeper and he said, if you don't understand how impactful the injuries have been, it's also the ability in possession as well. Because Neville said to him, I've noticed as someone who used to play the game, that when I was a fullback, I want my winger to be supporting me. I want the midfield to be supporting me. Does it concern you how many shots you're conceding? And this is the great thing about having the manager of the team answering these problems instead of us or Gary Neville or Rio or anyone else just trying to dictate the conversation. He said, look, not having a steady back four has killed us this season, essentially. He didn't say those words, but he said not having a back four this season has been the problem. The injuries, of course, but the lack of quality, the lack of quality in possession as well, the lack of quality in replacements to come in. Basically, what Ten Hag was saying is that when I've got my players, you will see a big improvement. But this season, the decimation to the back four, it's not even that the backup players aren't good enough because the backup players have got injured. We've got no left back. So he's not even sat there saying Maguire's shit, Lindelof's shit, and Malacia's shit. He doesn't even have those players because they're injured as well. And what he also said as well is, yeah, you can talk about the amount of chances we've conceded, but it's also the quality in possession. If we keep the ball better, we don't concede the ball, and therefore you don't concede the chances. And I think this is absolutely spot on. And this is what I mean. Gary Neville or any of you can sit there and say injuries aren't an excuse. But he's just detailed the excuse for you. And then the next question was, have you ever thought about changing the way that you're playing? Instead of playing so open, why don't you go more pragmatic? Which I found hilarious because after the Liverpool game at Anfield in December, we played really pragmatic, park the bus. And Neville and everyone else criticised him for it. So it's almost walking into a trap. Have you thought about playing more defensive? Because if you do that, you'll get criticised anyway. But fair play to Ten Hag. What he actually said is, look, I don't want to do that because I came here with an objective to get us to playing a more proactive style of football. And that's my objective. So if I suddenly start playing pragmatic and park the bus, and then my players start coming back, I've got to change the system again. And also you're messing around with players and their confidence. So what he's basically saying is the reason we've been playing so open for the last few weeks is because this is the system we want to play when we've got the players to play it. But we don't have the players to play it at the moment. But I'm not going to move away from my objective of playing proactive football. And some of you might not like these answers. And some of you might not like the fact that injuries are an excuse. But unfortunately, they are. And this, for me, is the big difference between somebody like Neville or somebody like Rio or somebody like Scholes sitting on a panel moaning or talking or thinking that injuries are not an excuse. But it's the difference between punditry and actually coaching. And I think from that interview with Ten Hag, while some people have been critical of it, a lot of people have quite enjoyed it because it's from the horse's mouth. And it's a very, very good explanation about why we're playing like we are, why we're struggling. And also, for me, the one thing I took out of it was potential. The potential. All right, he spoke about wanting an experienced striker, but in Rasmus, there's a striker for the future. In Garnacho, he spoke glowingly. Mainu as well. The potential to bring better players in the summer. The potential to bring players back who are injured. I just think it's not nice because we're not where we want to be. Goldbridge, that's the end of the clip. I'm sure you enjoyed it. In fact, I bet that's the best clip you've ever watched. So there's no reason not to subscribe to the channel, click the bell icon so you never miss a clip again. In fact, smash a like on the video because we all know only legends like videos and you are all legends. So please smash a like on the video and we will see you again on the next one. Thank you very much for watching as always.